Hello. Welcome to
Hi.
a special edition of Surfing Your Edge Live. I'm Christine Goad, your Surfing Your Edge coach, and I am joined today by the amazing Dianne Irving. Thank you so much for being with me tonight, Dianne.
Thank you, Christine. We were just talking, Christine and I were talking about our lighting. So we're trying to be as light as we can.
Yeah, we're both on the East Coast and we're used to having daytime light for Zoom meetings, so neither one of us was really well prepared for this.
That's right.
So as the sun goes down, we'll probably
Yeah.
darker. All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. And I just want to give you an idea who Dianne is. If you haven't met her already, she's amazing. You will know her soon if you don't already. She's an Australian who lives in the United States with her family. She left Australia in pursuit of her dreams of becoming an entrepreneur. She is the founder of Little Tulip Books, where she's writing a series of children's stories and developing her theme of Dream a New Dream. She previously had an image consulting business where her clients were successful entrepreneurs and senior executives for a global tech company. So I am very excited to have Dianne here today, and her theme of Dream a New Dream is what sparked it all. So this is going to be a fun conversation. And I just realized that I left off Dianne's probably favorite sentence in her bio. So let me finish. Dianne brings her creativity, insight, and passion for a brighter future to humanity I'm starting over. Dianne brings her creativity, insight, and passion for a brighter future for humanity to all of her endeavors. And that is why we are here tonight, because we want to talk about what it means to dream a new dream. So I don't know exactly how Dianne was feeling, but I know that I was just feeling exhausted. A couple weeks ago, when we first started talking about this, well, probably a couple months ago at this point, when we first started talking about this, I was feeling absolutely exhausted by the state of the world and feeling like I was spending so much of my energy just keeping my energy at level, right? It's just so that I could get through my day. And I remember asking myself, how am I going to get through another 40 or 50 years of this? Because we're not going back to what we used to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling really frustrated and started really focusing on how to get past that, around that question. And then I was sitting in a mastermind meeting where Dianne and I have been collaborating in there for the last 9 months. And I heard her say that she wants to dream a new dream. And I jumped out of my seat. And I was like, yes, can I come too? So what brought you to that idea, Dianne?
Well, we were talking in our mastermind group about, looking forward to the future and what we were planning on. And I have been working on a couple of projects, which I can share in a little bit. And, one of the things that came to me is, and, I said it out loud, but I said, I'm really working on dreaming a new dream. Because in the context where I think we've set our goals, dreamed a new dream, beginning of each year, it's like, we would start the year and away we would go. And over the past several years of COVID and everything else that's happened, I was just thinking so much about how much we need to dream a new dream, even a new way of dreaming, a new way of moving forward. And what was it going to take for us for me individually to get there, and for really everybody else at the moment. So that's where that idea, that seed of that idea came from.
Yeah, that the old way of being, the old way of dreaming, the old way of thinking about ourselves and our goals and our dreams doesn't work anymore, right? We need to really start from scratch and figure out what does work in this new time and this new planet. Because things really aren't the way they used to be, and I really don't see them ever returning to what they were. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I just think we have some evolving to do.
Yes, which is sort of where the saying came from is dream a new dream, because even like with the planet, I feel like we need to dream a new dream for the planet. You know, dream a new dream for personally, but politically, and just everything right across the board. I don't think there's one thing that, you know, we want to really approach it in the way we have in the past, is kind of where I was going with it. So
I agree. I think there's a lot of toxic energy in the world right now, and we need to stand up and make a stand for positive energy, and energy that's inclusive and innovative and creative and willing to look for the solutions, right? Really willing to solve the hard problems rather than just passing the buck and pointing fingers and
that's
saying,
right.
this is the way things are, right? This is just reality. We can reject that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that in relation to like who we are, I think like I started with, for me to dream a new dream is sort of certain areas that I was looking at. So I've thought about, you know, that I needed to spend time in my heart, listening to my intuition. I had to drown out a lot of the noise to see if, where was I at? Where was I going to go? How was this all going to pan out? And so I did a 100-day, it's called the 100-day project. I wish I knew, I had the girl's name that designed that, but it's fairly, she does it annually. And I decided I think it started in middle of February. You know, when I was a kid, I used to draw a lot. So I thought, I'll participate in this project. And, you know, the idea was to post your results each day, but I didn't do that. I just decided to do it just for me. Engaged my son, who actually, he wanted to do it as well. And I did a drawing. And, you know, I'm not an artist. I just used to love drawing as a kid. It was just my favorite thing to do. So I just did a drawing every day for 100 days. And in fact, I loved it so much, I thought, I think I'm going to do it again. So I've nearly finished my second 100 days. And in the process of doing that, I thought, you know, it's like you need to find your happy place. And then when you find your happy place, when you do things that you love, then you need to do more of it, because it doesn't, to do one thing, I think, is just not enough at the moment. We need to really fuel our reserves and, you know, have, you know, just re-enlighten ourselves, as well as, you know, all the problems that we're faced with in the outside world. So that became some of the processes that I started with for me.
Yeah, and I love what you said about, you know, find what you love and then do more of it. We've heard the term, you know, self-care and all of that so many times since COVID hit, but I still don't think that any of us are truly inhabiting that in the way that we would like to, in the way that would really fill us up and allow us to serve others with our highest ability. Because if we're not, I think it was, no, I've lost her name. Oh my goodness, it's late.
I
know. She has an analogy of a teacup and a saucer, and you fill the teacup until it's overflowing, and you drink from the cup and you serve from the saucer. And if your cup isn't full, you really don't have anything left to give to anyone else. And so it really is time for us to learn how to prioritize what we love, and to not feel guilty about it, and to really take the time to investigate it, right? Rather than just sitting on the couch.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the example you gave of like self-care, you know, go have a massage. I mean, if you just think about it, you know, that's just like not cutting it anymore. I mean, it's just not enough. And if you did it, 2 to 3 times a week, for extended period of time, it would serve its purpose. So it's combining all those things that we may have typically done for self-care, but it's nurturing our hearts and our spirit. And also, I believe creativity is a huge healer. So it's also allowing that quietness of doing something creative to give us inspiration or build our resilience, and our grit to, because, as we've talked about, there's lots to be done in the world. Like there's just a lot. And the old theory, still got to do ourselves first, ourselves, our family, our community, and so
yeah. And one of the things that you brought up in my mind as you were talking was that the world is so overwhelming right now and has so much chaos in it. And there's always a new fire, right? Everybody's pointing, oh, look at that fire. Oh, look at this one. And everybody's trying to keep everybody off balance. And we're all going, like this. And it just gets to be too much. And so part of what that creativity and that giving yourself a chance to really go into what makes you feel good, it gets you above that, right? So you get to be in a place where you're more able to see, not just look at what's right in front of you, but you're in a more receptive place where you can see things that are usually disconnected and connect them. You can be a more creative problem solver. You can take more inspired action if you're feeling good first. So yes, self-care, I think at the very, very heart, finding what you love and then doing it and really engaging in deep self-care are at the heart of what we're talking about tonight.
Well, and it's like finding like our own happy place, like, because that could look different for every single person. But so you've got to, like, when I started on like my own process of how am I going to dream a new dream, I was writing down all the things that I thought, well, what's it that really going to take? And part of it is, do what you love, do more of what you love, find your happy place, and then trust your needs will be met. And how do you like sustain that? Like to get yourself from, because even the project of the 100-day project, for me, it was drawing. There was many times that I had to say, it was okay that I was just spending my time doing a drawing, and coloring it in, and then going online and working out, I found some really great people who specialize in colored pencils, and that I would spend 30 minutes listening to somebody talk about colored pencils, and that it was okay to do that whilst I'm developing my new dream and new goals, or and I know that you've talked a lot about in all your coaching and what you've done in the past about being in a state of flow. So like if you can talk a little bit more about that, like what that really means to be in a state of flow, like for your brain and your emotional well-being, but how that works.
Yeah, I don't at the tip of my tongue have the definition of flow right now, but basically it's being in a place where you lose track of time because you're so engaged with the present moment and with what you're thinking about and doing. And it is the place where you're the most productive. It's the place where you're the most creative, and then you just love it, right? I've learned recently that there are 6 happy chemicals in your brain, and they think that flow might be the only state you're in where you've got all of those happy chemicals all at the same time. So it feels really, really good to get into flow. And one of the great things that I've learned about flow is that you have to have frustration first before you can get into flow. You have to have a
Which
problem.
is interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't want to gloss over the fact that there's a problem, right? We want to look at that problem and go, yes,
That's
flow is on the way. Because you think about that problem and look at it from all of its facets, and then you walk away from it and do something else. You go out into nature, or you take a shower, or whatever it is, and that's when the little gears start to spin and you start to get more creative. So yeah, flow is one of the things that I want to learn a whole lot more about, and there's a whole lot to learn. But yeah, I think that is a really important key. It's one of those time bending things, right? And I'm always interested in time and managing my time better. So if I can get in there and really start to click, I want to learn how to do that, to bend time more than I currently do.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that for me also, dreaming a new dream is doing creative projects, but it's also playing with different ideas and to see what works and what doesn't, and to try different things and different adventures. I know that it's part of your program coming up that, well, you can actually go back and talk about how you took a whole crew to Panama to learn how to surf, but also the notion of doing something adventurous, that's
novelty,
yeah.
city. Those are all flow, and those are all things that help put you into flow too. So if you're constantly doing even the same things that you do every day, but doing them in a different way, or taking something that you typically do at home and moving it to a coffee shop, or taking it on the road kind of thing, novelty is always a good thing in my mind. So yeah, and yeah, the crux of the Surfing Your Edge program that I created in 2018 was that we would go to a new place, to Panama, where not a lot of people are raring to go to Panama because they haven't heard the best things about it. So we would go to Panama and we would learn to surf, because learning to surf was the thing that scared me the most. I am a strong swimmer, and yet I have been afraid of open water pretty much my whole life. And I've done different things to try to, I've done triathlons where I had to do open water swimming and nearly drowned multiple times. I've done different things to try to overcome this fear. So I took people, I said, let's just do it. We're just going to go. I'm going to be scared. Everybody else will be whatever they are. We'll get through it. And everybody had their own little thing that kind of triggered them. One of the women on my trip wasn't at all afraid of open water, but she didn't want to fly to another country. This was the first time she'd been out of the country since she was a teenager, and she had never left her son before. So, she had her own little things going on. Other people are afraid of flying, all kinds of things. So it was an opportunity to get out on the edge of your comfort zone, do something fun that didn't matter to the rest of your life. If you don't learn to stand up on a surfboard, it's not going to kill your career. Your family's not going to leave you. So we would go do this fun thing in a place we'd never been before, and then feel what that felt like, and then bring that energy home and be a community of support for each other while we worked on other parts of our lives where we wanted to surf our edge a little bit more. So that was the crux of what I do in my business. And then COVID hit. And, and said, oh, you wanted to take 2 boats full of women out whale watching and learning to surf this year, but no, you're not going to get to go at all. So I have revamped it, and this time we're doing a choose your own adventure version of it. We're calling it Bigger Badass. And everybody gets to choose their own adventure. You can go out into the world and adventure if you'd like, and I will coach you from a distance, or you can stay home learn whatever you want to learn. For me, I'm going to learn to sing.
Yeah, you.
I'm having my,
Surfing, singing.
yeah. And again, it's one of those things, it just feels like there could be so much joy in it, right? If I just let myself and get into it and not be scared of it. So it feels like singing and dancing are a God-given right for, just joy, expression of joy. So that's why I'm choosing that. And do you want me to tell you more about the program?
I do.
If
Yes, because, and you can keep talking about it from also the perspective of, because I know when you shared with us in the mastermind how valuable it is to do this as a community, especially women. You said that, together we can advance more
right.
in that environment than, like,
Exactly.
yeah. So,
yeah, I think women in particular have a system, a group of people around them currently where they're expected to fill certain roles in certain ways, and your spouse and your coworkers, your children, they're not necessarily expecting you to come up with a new dream
yeah.
that you want to dream. So they're not necessarily going to be the ones who are there cheering you on. And so having a group of women who totally get you, who have seen you up and down and see how beautiful and amazing and powerful you are, even more than you can see for yourself, having them there to support you is huge. And you get there so much faster with a group than you do trying to spin your wheels on your own and figure it out alone. I did that. I did it for 10 years. It was a very painful 10 years. I learned a lot, but I wouldn't wish it again on someone else, So if we can save some
I
time.
hear you.
Yeah. So the program this year is called Bigger, Bolder, Badass. And the bigger part is we start to actually see ourselves more accurately. You get to start to remember who you used to be before you started being all the things to all the people. You also get to look at where you are now and how you've evolved and what is important to you now and what you love now. And so many women, Dianne, I love that you did the 100-day art project, because a lot of us don't know what we love anymore.
No. Well, and I also, want to quote from you when you said, we reality size our dreams. So we base it on our current reality. And, especially as women, and especially of a certain age group, we have taken care of, we've done a lot. And now we're like, well, now what? And then life has given us, and now what? More than ever before. And so I think it's ideal. I love that the first part is, where are we at? Where are you at as an individual? And, where's the opportunity to play with some new ideas and, toss around a few things and be creative, but also support each other in just thinking about things differently. I think that's such an important part of, like, your program. That first part is like really ideal. That's kind of where I've been, in that real just playing around and seeing where I'm at and seeing what is possible, what's next.
Right. We don't know. And that's the cool thing, because we can start to adopt a mindset that says, you said it earlier, trust that everything is going to work out for you. So we work a lot on those kinds of ideas about, I live in an abundant and loving universe, and I am meant to thrive. I am put on this planet to thrive. And so what does that mean? And do I get to own my dream? If it's mine, right, I get to go have it. So we learn to start to feel worthy of our dreams. And then in the bolder part, we actually get into dealing with those negative voices in our heads that say, you're not ready. Who do you think you are? This isn't going to work. It never works. So don't even bother to try. We deal with those voices, and we start to quiet those and grow the sage voice on the other side, which says, you are enough. you're more than enough. You have everything you need. And part of having what you need is having the curiosity and the tenacity to go find whatever it is out there that you don't necessarily have right now. So we work on that a lot, and seeing possibilities where we didn't see them before. And then the badass part is where we all go off and we do our adventures together and, you know, support each other, this time from afar. But I just think it's we get to actually start to try to test out these new ideas and our new ways of thinking and see what that's like in some design. And I just realized this today. I think it's really cool to be able to design your own challenges, right? So you'll design one.
Yes. Yeah. Like one that you might want, not one that's been like thrown upon you. Yes.
Right. And I just think it's the kind of thing that we should do over and over again, right? It's like, ooh, what's my next challenge? You know, what would make me feel really, really good next? So that's where we are with the Bigger, Bolder, Badass. And
well, and I think it's so exciting. I think it like is laid out so well, because it is a process. It takes time. Like nearly 30 years ago, in my younger heyday, just decided I'd leave Australia. It's where I'm from, and just, you know, go on an adventure and travel. And, you know, fast forward today, I met my now husband, have a son, live in the States. But I remember at that time, it was like I just took off and thought, how fun. And now it's like part of our dream is to go back. And so, but now I have a different, you know, I'm looking through a different lens and and here comes one of my cats who loves to shed his comments on this. So that, you know, it takes a different level of grit and resilience that I think the past several years have really like eroded any part that we might have had. And it's really building that back and adding the fun, because I think particularly you and I, Christine, how we connected is we want to do more in our lives. We don't want to just do it personally. We want to contribute to humanity in a big way. And to do that, we need to be in a pretty good place ourselves that will aid us in moving forward, in helping in whatever area we might choose to really focus our efforts.
I agree. And one of the things I seriously was asking the universe, how am I going to stay on this planet? How am I going to stay here?
Yeah.
And the answer was to understand that what's going on right now is important, but on some level, it's also a distraction. You can look straight at the problem, and if you do nothing but look straight at the thing that you think is the problem, you will never find your solution. You have to look to the other side of it, to what you want to achieve in order to find the solution. So I think that is my big purpose, is to be here and to kind of direct people around. Yes, that's going on, but look over here. And how do you want to feel, and what do you want to create? If we don't have a future that we're excited to move toward, why are we here?
Yeah.
We're not going to accomplish anything worth accomplishing. And I don't want to end my life with regrets. So
yes, and I'm stroking my cat here. Yes, and my husband's African American. I have a black son. We're very like within our family over, well, I can say it's the last couple of years, but that's not true. It's a life journey. And, I think that we have still had to find in all amongst that some level of happiness for ourselves and our family. And how we want to contribute. And, and I love the notion that you said, finding an adventure or a challenge that is fun. And even if there's some hesitation or, like, I don't know that I'd pick singing. Maybe I should. But it's to do it knowing that the end result of that is going to be far greater reward than not doing it at all. And I think we need to build up our tribes and our communities around us to really say, and then together support each other, and then together say, here is where I'm going to really focus my efforts to contribute. And I just think it's better to do it as a community, as a tribe, and especially women, like bring the women. That's what I say.
I am so passionate about getting women to a place where they understand that not only do they have agency in their own lives, but they do have the creativity and the heart and the love and the passion and the energy to actually solve the bigger problems in the world. You don't have to solve every one of them. You don't have to solve the whole thing. You just focus on the little piece of it that's right in front of you that has your heart attached to it, and focus on solving your little piece. If we each solve the little piece that's in front of us, oh my gosh.
I know. And, I think that, when I was, I had an image consulting business for 10 years, and it's really about owning your own worth, your own beauty, and your own worthiness, and I saw that written also in a book once. It said, without question. I'm like, oh, that is so good. Own beauty, your worthiness without question. But it's owning that. And I think we need, as collectively, as women, just a few other reminders from other people to own our beauty and who we are and what we represent, because we can easily forget. We can think, oh, so much is going on, in my personal life. I can't, see my way forward. And it just has others to remind you that, yes, you can, and it can be fun. And, which I think for right now, it's been hard to find real joyful moments.
I agree. I went 3 weeks ago to an amusement park for the first time in almost I think a decade with my sister's children. And I just screamed out 2 years worth of COVID. I was flipping around on the Raptor, and I heard in my head, I was born to ride roller coasters and feel this kind of joy, right? And so I resolved right then, I'm going to start traveling again, regardless of how hard it is, because I need to be out there and doing new things and seeing myself in a different way.
Right.
So that's one of the things I think travel does for all of us, is just let us not only see the world, but also really learn about ourselves when we're pushed up against things that are new.
Yeah, which is great. And I was with my husband, and we were talking about sort of letting go of things, and I said we need ways just to let it go. And he said we have a gym that has a beautiful outdoor pool area. He goes, well, I'm going to go down the slide. So I said, well, I'll capture it so you can like, this will be your moment. He's like, are you going to go down the slide? I'm like, no. He's like, I'm going to. I was like, all right. So I said, I'll capture it down the bottom. And so, he did it once. I said, oh, I nearly missed it. He said, well, I'll do it again. So he gets out, and my son did it as well. And, we were having a look afterwards. And so my husband is like looking at the screen of the photo. And I said, well, move it to the next one. And he goes, you did video it, right? And I said, no, I just took pictures, right? Oh my God, we laughed so hard. I said, I'm such a dinosaur. I'm really small. Because, in my mind, capturing it meant a photograph. But, he goes like, you don't know how to use your video on the phone? Oh, yeah, of course I do. But and so I took 3 photos in like succession, and all 3 of them turned out really good. Now here, see, if I had a videoed it, you would never have captured that. But my point in that, it was as simple as going down a slide. It was as simply as laughing at me for taking a photograph instead of, videoing the moment. And it was just something fun. But even that is enough to, sort of get you onto the next. You put all those little moments together, and then it becomes a bigger, shift in your being, in your ideas, in what you can do moving forward. And,
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And I just want to say that if you're hearing us talk and we're both smiling, which I don't think we'd ever not do, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, I don't have that in my life, I don't have that joy in my life, I don't have space or energy for that in my life right now, I totally hear you. And I have a master class that I'm going to do on Sunday, a free master class called Awaken the New Dreamer, because I want you to be able to look around the problems and get out of your current heavy mindset and start to formulate that bigger vision, that new dream. And when you have that new dream, it brings with it new energy and new possibility and new ways of seeing that can lift you out of the situation that you're in. I swear, 3 months ago, I couldn't have had this conversation because I was in that, I don't know how I'm going to keep going state.
Yeah, I think we're all exhausted, there's an exhaustion that goes with it. But like you said, it's the shift in energy that's sustainable. And I love that you're doing a masterclass because, again, I think we are finding ways that we need to lean in and think, oh, something there is pulling me forward, and just to take the step and to trust. Like, even when I did the 100-day project for the drawing for me, I just thought, I'm going to do this. I write children's stories, and from doing that project, I have gotten so many ideas, even like Dream a New Dream. I'm like, oh, that would be a great workbook, which I'm designing. And, it's helped the children's story writing. It's given me a whole lot of ideas around doing things for kids. And, one of my characters is called Tulip, and so I call it my Tulip card deck because they have all little drawings. But, it's, again, I wouldn't have expected it. I just trusted and gave myself permission to do it. Yeah.
Yes. I was taking notes because it's late and I'm old and I was worried I was going to forget things. But yes, you said trust, and trusting that it's all going to matter, right? That it's all, it all feeds you. So yes, and giving yourself permission and finding your happy place and giving yourself permission to spend time there is huge. And I also heard you say, you didn't actually say it in these words, but you basically were talking about getting into motion, right? You're like, I picked this thing. I don't know if it's the right thing, but I just enjoyed it. And so I went with it, and it brought with it all of the other stuff. And that, I think, is so huge and key, because a lot of times, especially as smart women, we think, oh, I can figure this out. I can figure out how to get from here to where I want to go. I don't have to make any mistakes. I don't have to spin in circles or spend money that I don't have to spend. I can just figure it out, and then I'll make no mistakes and walk right a straight line
A
right there.
perfect plan.
Yes. And it doesn't work that way. It took
Yeah.
me years to figure that out, but you have to
Mm.
get into motion. You have to take
Yeah.
that first step and look around and go, oh, what else is here? And what else feels good? And where do I want to step next?
Yeah. Well, even, you know, I was talking about the colored pencils, even like, you know, like I've never learned so much about colored pencils, and I'm totally into it, right? And but it's because it's floating my boat for my reasons. And you know, it's when I think over all my years of experiences with the career that I had in Australia, I had a career in banking. I've been an entrepreneur in the States, had an image consulting business, you know, writing children's stories, which is a whole different, you know, digression from anything else I've ever done. But it's also the things that really served us and helped us get to where we are today. I don't know that they're going to take us forward. And so before we would say, well, how did it work in the past? And we would go back to bring it into existence. And I don't know that it's going to work anymore. I think, like, I love that you're doing a masterclass, because the way you said how to seed or how to become a new dreamer, I think it's going to take a different way, a different path, a path that we haven't traveled, you know, and we need, that takes a little bit of risk, a little bit of adventurous spirit, a little bit of, you know, it might be scary or challenging, and it can be a degree of whatever you as a person feel you're up for. Like if it, say, scared you too much to learn how to sing, that doesn't necessarily have to be your next adventure. It could be just something else. Like to somebody else, to draw a drawing every day for 100 days, like, you know, well, you know, it could be nothing. But for me, it was, you know, I just thought, I'm going to do this, you know, and it sort of opened it. You know, my risk was, you know, isn't there other things going on in the world than you sitting here, you know? But I found it very calming to my heart. And, you know, I think women are very empathic. So it's, you know, it helped me. But, you know, I still had to get behind my own commitment to do that.
Yes. Because the minute you said, I'm going to do something new, your little saboteur goes, oh, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can't keep you safe if you go off and do new things.
Yeah.
So you immediately.
Well, and that goes back to when you were talking about in your program, like the second, like the bigger, you know, that's when all those saboteurs come in and saying, you know, what are you doing? And to stage in that sage positive, you know, because even positive thinking, I think, is not what it used to be as well.
Yeah.
I think it takes more than, you know.
Yeah.
How we, you know, typically would say, well, be positive. Well, you know, sometimes that's going to take a different methodology to get us there, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. I just wrote down positive thinking isn't going to cut it anymore.
Because it hasn't, you know. And, you know, that's also part of some of the expertise. And I noticed, and that you've said too in our mastermind, how much like coaching for you improved and took on a different meaning with COVID when you had to do it differently.
Yeah, that's true. I lost a lot of my confidence when I couldn't, you know, gather the tribe by saying, hey, let's all go surfing, which everybody kind of went, oh, that sounds scary and fun. Let's go do that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go coaching. It's like, huh? So that sounds like work, right? So I lost some confidence there, and I definitely put my group coaching on hold and did one-on-one coaching during COVID, which was a huge gift. It was amazing to be able to help people through this unprecedented thing, and and to be there, kind of figuring it out alongside them, and having the gift of them being willing to open themselves to me at that time when they were feeling so vulnerable. And so yeah, I did become a better coach in the last 2 years. I got more experience. I also became a positive intelligence coach with the PQ program that everyone in the program gets in the Boulder part. So yeah, it's been one of the things I did. I don't think I've told you this. One of the things I did when COVID started, when lockdown started, about 13 days in, I was having another one of those I can't sleep nights, because it was like, how am I going to survive this? Apparently I asked that question quite often. But I was like, how am I going to survive this? So I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just started, I took a piece of paper. In the middle, I put opportunities in COVID, and I just made myself sit there until I came up with all the different ways that these new restrictions might actually be a gift. And I found that it's true. When you put restrictions on yourself, you actually become more creative. And that's like the reasoning behind metered poetry, is that having those rules actually made the poet more creative. So, so yeah, I from the very beginning have been looking for the positives in the new situation, and one of them is that I got to become a better coach.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that with COVID, we started off by saying, well, we'll clean out, or not clean out a closet. We did nothing maybe, or then we did. And then we're like, oh, this is great. We're together. We've been together for too much. We had all these sort of iterations of it. And then I feel like somewhere in the past 12 months, we're like, wow, we need a new world. And what is it going to really look like? And it takes, I have experienced personally, I feel like remember the cartoon strip Calvin and Hobbes? Did you have that here in the States?
Yeah.
Used to be in the Sunday paper. Was in Australia. I remember once that there was, a little drawing, and it was like a piece of snow. It was freshly fallen snow. And Calvin said to Hobbes, or Hobbes said to Calvin, I can't remember which one. I love this. It's like a blank canvas, when snow has just fallen and you're about to step out into it. And I think to dream a new dream, or to seed yourself as a new dreamer, there's a bit of risk in that blank. So we can take lots of things that are who we are, our qualities, our values, some of the things that we did enjoy, but we really are now setting, it is like a new canvas, and what are we going to put in it, and how do we do that? And it's a process. It'd be great to say, oh yeah, this is my dream, and wake up tomorrow and it's there, but it never worked that way, and it definitely doesn't now. It's like, it's a whole new way to sort of say, well, how is it going to look? What is it going to take? What are all my pieces that I need to pull together that make me who I am, and my values and my family? Like, we were like, looking around at our housing and stuff and saying, do we want to change this? Do we want to do this? Do we want to live here anymore? What if we moved like to Australia, and what would that look like? And what is that going to take of us as people? And, it's a whole gamut of things that have to go with that. So, but that's where my heart is. And also it's whittled its way into my family's heart. So, it's like a whole new adventure, which, I could take some of that young 30-year-old. It was just like, yay, but, and, and on top of that, I feel also deep in my heart, and we got work to do. We got work to do to really contribute to help humanity and or where things are going as well. So
I agree. It's going to take all of us. And I wanted to point out that this dream that the dreams that we're talking about today didn't come whole cloth. They didn't just like, oh, yep, that's it. That's what I want. It's again, it's the kind of the grit and the resilience that you were talking about, where you just keep asking, what do I love? What feels good? What's calling me? And you just keep listening in. And we have to trust that. And we also have to know now that we are the ones we're waiting for. Nobody else.
Love that.
And solve this for us. Nobody's going to swoop in and solve anything for us. We have to be the ones, and we can do it together.
Yes, which is the best. We've had the best time over, the last 9 months in the mastermind, and it's just been really what's kept me going and us, and also sharing with all the stuff that we've learned about each other and what we're all doing, and it's the way to go. So tell us, because I know it's getting close on the time, so tell us a little bit more about Sunday, what you're doing for your masterclass.
Yeah, the masterclass is called Awakening the New Dreamer, and basically it's helping you feel into the future that you want and start to really, even if you can't see it yet, which was my big deal for 10 years. It's like, I can't see it. All I see is a brick wall. But I knew how I wanted to feel, right? So I'm really we're going to be doing a lot of, it's an experiential workshop. It's not just me talking to you for 90 minutes. We're actually going to be doing some things to pull forward those emotions from the future, and also to pull up from our past some of the things that really make us who we are, that we might have, belittled or, pushed down or whatever. But we're going to get really heart-centered and start to feel into what a future looks like. If we look around all the stuff that's going on, what do we want on the other side? And I really think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to meet our future selves, I think, and just feel into the future that we want to create and find a way. I want everyone to leave the retreat. At the very minimum, I want you to be able to leave the retreat with a couple of tools that will help you feel good now. Just will flip your little happy switch in the moment, because that is a skill that we all need right now. I'm not saying I'll cure all of your unhappiness, but I'd love it if you could just leave with a tool that will generate happiness on a regular basis for you.
Well, and I think the time is now too, just like you said. I think that's such a perfect analogy, and we need it now. We need tools right now to build a new future, dream a new dream, and, so it sounds really good. And I'm so grateful that we met and that we got to have this discussion again, because we love talking about it. And, the work that you're doing, I just so admire that you are leading women and a tribe of us to, really dream a new dream and to be happier in ourselves, and to do that now, right away, as well as all what we need to have the grit to have a brighter humanity.
Thank you.
I like to say.
Yes, and I want to say the same right back to you, because you're working on two fronts, and she hasn't even admitted her second front, but she is working on children's stories, and they're not just children's stories. She's creating a whole world that the adults who will be reading the children's stories need every bit as much as the children who will be reading, hearing them and reading them need them too. But she's also working in green energy and helping to make the world a better place in a physical, real world way.
Yep, we do that as well. And so it's a lot, that's also another piece of it, is we are here to have big lives.
Yes.
In whatever capacity that takes for all of us.
Right. And COVID has tried to convince us of the opposite in the last couple of years, and we've just got to say it's time for that to be over.
Yes.
Time to go be big. All right. Well, I have enjoyed this conversation very much, and I appreciate all of the hearts and the comments that we have had tonight. And I want to call out Marcy Nelson Garrison, who is in our audience right now. She is the amazing, amazing creative soul who created the Sacred Muse Mastermind, where Dianne and I met and have been working together for the last 9 months. And she is just a powerhouse. So if you haven't met Marcy yet, you need to.
Just the best. Yeah.
All right. So I will put in the comments the link to Sunday's masterclass, and I hope you will join me there. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen now, I think I'm going to put it on the screen. There we go. So yes, please join me in that class. And if you have any questions for Dianne or me, leave them here in the comments, and I'll make sure that one of us sees them and gets an answer to you. We appreciate all of you for being here. We appreciate you if you're watching it in the replay. And I didn't say this at the beginning of the call, so I'm just going to say it now. If you've had any aha moments during this show and you'd like to drop those comments in the comment section and just say, aha, and let us know. We've got some really great comments in there. So I'm going to assume that there's an aha in front of all of them. But just let us know what really struck you. And I'm actually going to do a drawing. I forgot, I meant to say this. I talked to Dianne about it. But I'm actually going to do a drawing for two different gifts. One is a book, and I have moved it away from me. But one of you will get a book, and one of you will get an coaching session with me if you'd like. So leave me comments, leave us questions. Let us know what struck you, what you're chewing on, what questions are you asking?
That's right.
All right. Is there anything that you'd like to say, Dianne, to make the conversation feel more complete?
No, I just want to say again, thank you. And I think it's really important, the value of, doing this all together and to enjoy the ride together with all its challenges, and, and to dream a new dream, because I think the world needs it. So, and if there's just element of you that feels compelled, that wants to lean in, I highly suggest Sunday. I think you get everything and more. So,
well, I appreciate
thank you again, Christine.
Thank you, Dianne, and for staying up and
dark
with me.
And our lighting.
Yes, we're still here. We're not completely in the dark, so it's all good. All right. So, thank you, everyone, and my heart is so full tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just want to say I'm wishing you wonder. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. We'll see you in between here. All right. Take care. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dianne.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Oops. I hit the thing. I always hit the wrong thing.